Kamil, how's it going, man?
Hey man, it's all
Can
good,
you hear me
dude.
okay?
How are you? It's been a while.
Awesome. It's been a while, man. So yeah, we are kicking things off live, and for the audience that's connecting, is basically behind the scenes as we get things going for the recording of the Tech Money Talks podcast, and great stuff, man, for sure. So let me just tell the audience to go ahead and drop questions here along the way as we kick things off with the live intro, man. Yeah, looking forward to this.
Yes, me too, man. I'm really excited to be back on the show.
Ask your questions. Yeah, because this gives us the ability to definitely start fielding questions so we can see audience coming in. And actually, for the audience, let us know if you can hear us okay, because that'll help us out. I think it's sounding pretty good. So, all right, let's get things started here. And so typically, like before, I typically go through a live intro, the conversation lead us from there. So, all right, let me kick things off and get in the zone here. Excited. All right, this is cool stuff. Hey everybody, Brian McCumber here with Tech Money Talks. I am really excited today because we have a very special guest on the podcast. We are fortunate to have Kamil Sattar, aka the Ecom King, as a returning featured guest on the show. And if you don't know who he is, then you're missing out big time, because Kamil is a young 21-year-old entrepreneur that is going mainstream in e-commerce. By the age of 19, Kamil hit his first million and has been growing faster ever since. Kamil's a British entrepreneur, and we're going to be talking to him live from Europe. If you're interested in starting an online business to make extra money, you better save this episode in your back pocket and listen to it over and over again, because the stories and the tips you're going to learn here will give you the opportunity to quickly launch your own business to help your wallet grow fat. Now, the last time we spoke, Kamil was on the rise on YouTube. He had about 33,000 subscribers. Now you fast forward to today, he has over 173,000 subscribers on YouTube and continuing to rise. Really on fire. Kamil is also featured in major networks and publications, and most recently, which caught my attention, was a CNBC-related e-commerce topic on dropshipping, where Kamil was featured, which is great stuff. So this is the definition of going mainstream, folks, for sure. Time is money, and everyone's looking to get a piece of his time, and I'm so happy to have him back on the show again. Kamil, thanks for joining us, man. How's it going?
I'm all good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me back on for part two. I was so excited. I remember the first time coming on the show last year, I was chasing to be on the show. So for you to reach out this time and ask to come on the show was really, really nice.
Hey, great stuff, brother, for sure, man. Yeah, I'm glad we had a chance to connect. And even then, you know what? Preparing for today, I was re-listening to the interview, and man, that was right in the middle of April 2020, during the beginning of the whole shift in the pandemic and things like that. So I was wondering, maybe for the audience, maybe kick things off. So what's changed in your life since then?
Oh man, you know what? In 12 months, it's insane how much can change, especially with the whole global situation. It's made what should happen in 5 years happen in 1 year. So it's been a very busy year last year. And I think what happened last year that was insane for us was we started our own real brands. I've been able to get into some brands and have my own shares in them. And yeah, really, dude, you know what it is at the moment now? It's more slowing down on the dropshipping side of things and really getting into the e-commerce branded actual store asset class. So taking it up a notch, getting into what I call the future of e-com. We're not doing stores now where it's just as simple as having a product on a website. It's about mapping the product, getting it so it's a 3D product, making sure that we've got AR technology in our website. We're really taking things to the next level to help our customers that can't visit a shop have the same feel when they come to our websites.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm actually really curious about hearing more about that. And even then, like, I remember, so at that time we were going through that shift. So supply issues. You even touched on a couple of things which I was curious if it's still working for you, because you were the first to actually talk about like using TikTok and even Twitter and using influencer marketing as an approach to ads. And is that still holding true today? Like, what's evolved since then that's been kind of on the top of your list for marketing?
Yeah, so don't get me wrong. Twitter is still on in our high demand. You know, we're still doing Twitter influencers. We're doing Twitter influencers for Valentine's this year, the same as last year, because it did really, really well for us. Oberlo wrote an article about our last year's Valentine's Day, which was absolutely amazing. Now, the only thing that's really changed, I've slowed down a little bit on the TikTok, and I'm now progressing more onto YouTube ads because I love my Facebook ads, but that's starting to take a bit of a hit with a couple of the issues that they've had going on. And the thing that's the most closest to the way the behind the scenes work with Facebook is very similar to the way YouTube ads work. So I've been really deep in dive into YouTube and trying to get myself established on there.
Wow, that's awesome. And are there any other platforms that you're currently pursuing that you weren't doing at that time?
I'm doing something. So one of my business partners and myself are doing something on Reddit. We found that Reddit works really, really well.
Wow, that's awesome. Because and the reason why I'm asking those questions, because even recently I'm hearing more and more people using Pinterest ads. So I was wondering if you've done any work with Pinterest or exploring that.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to explore that avenue yet. You know, Pinterest is a great way for certain industries. You know. At the moment, I haven't quite tapped into that market in terms of the ads. Something that I have done though on Pinterest is I've worked with some influencers on Pinterest, and I've collabed with them on certain projects, and that's been very, very good.
That's awesome. Yeah, and so hopefully the audience is catching it. I would say even to pick up, because we're picking up where we left off in our last conversation, I say definitely listen to that first interview, because Kamil dropped some golden nuggets there, a lot of value. And if you heard his key words here, he's still utilizing influencer marketing. And actually maybe even share a little bit of background about that approach of influencer marketing for, so say like some of the newbies out there that haven't used it.
Yeah, so influencer marketing is basically where you team up with somebody in an industry on a social media platform that has a very well-respected presence and following. And what you do is you can send them a product, you can send them some stuff to work with. We tend to just always send products to them because it works so much better. And then they create their own way around it, so it works really, really well. An example is we've worked with a couple of YouTube influencers recently for a gaming store that we have, where we send them the gaming equipment that we're providing, and they do basically just a full review of it. If you know somebody called Unbox Therapy, it's very much like the way he does his tech videos, where he'll just sit down, unbox a product, and be very honest about what it's like. And that's the route that we're doing at the moment. We're working with YouTube influencers where we're sending them the product and we're just saying, look, we don't want you to say anything great if it's not great. We want you to be honest, say your pros and cons, and whatnot. And that's been working really, really well, because a lot of people can tell when somebody's being genuine and somebody's just being agenda-based, you know?
Yeah, man, that's key, man. So even if you can, maybe even paint that picture for the audience. Like if somebody was looking to actually, you know, reach out and try to get the attention, strike a deal with the influencer, like paint that picture. What would the approach be?
Okay, so something that I don't really know many dropshippers that are talking about this is the most successful way we've worked with influencers, and I've made a video about this on my channel. We work with some famous influencers. So, you know, Little Baby, we worked with his partner on influencer marketing, and we worked with her for completely free. We didn't pay her any money, and she's a famous influencer. She's had 2.5 million followers on Instagram, mainstream. Now, how we were able to achieve that, and this is something that not really anybody talks about, is we sent her a custom gift product to her PO box. So we found her PO box on a social media platform, and a lot of people will put it in their bio or their YouTube about section, and you can send them your item to their PO box. Now, for you to actually get into the door and for them to see it and actually do something with it, it needs to be something very personal to them. So we sent the Little Baby's partner a gift where it was a picture of her and a son in a light format, which blew up, and it was for Mother's Day. So it was a very heart feeling product. And as soon as she saw it, she posted on her Instagram, and the sales just came through.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and speaking of YouTube channel, so actually that's something that has really, just blasted off for you, to go from 33,000 now to over 173,000 subscribers. So you're doing some great things. So maybe share that journey and that story, what you've been doing on YouTube.
Yeah, so what I did, you know what, and this is the thing for anybody that wants to start a YouTube channel and whatever you do and whatnot, the thing is, when you start a channel, it's about what you're here to do. When I started my YouTube channel, I was not here to be friends with all the other YouTubers. There's YouTubers out there that are friends with the others, and they hang out and they chill out, which is good for them, but that was not my purpose. When I created this channel, my purpose was to serve the people and give them what they needed and give them something that nobody else will give them, and what I did last year that nobody else could do, which was provide every single value that anybody wanted, where people were charging hundreds of dollars for these courses. I was just making 4 courses for free, threw them up on YouTube. I'm releasing another free course dropping tomorrow. And that's the thing, if you do what you say you really do, you don't need to charge money for it in a digital asset. So I just said, stuff this. I'm going to be making these courses. I'm going to be showing case studies on my stores. I'm going to throw it on YouTube and see if people like it and digest it. And look, it's got some really good reaction to it. And that's the reason why my YouTube channel is doing so well. And look, the editing, the actual quality of the video footage itself is not the best. There's people out there that are way better than me. But what makes my channel so powerful is, like I said, the content is pure, the content is real, it works, and people can tell.
Yeah, definitely so. And I would say that's worth mentioning, is that this is something that you did even at the beginning of the year to kick off 2021, which was that whole YouTube course. Like, it was like a 4-hour, almost 4.5-hour course just covering Shopify dropshipping. And I remember catching on to that, and I, during my workouts, I just let that play and listen along. And I was like, for the audience listening, I mean, you covered a lot of great, topics to get anybody through there. So I was wondering if you could share more about that, like what you put together as far as course level information, all in one video.
Yeah, so I've just released, so the one that really got me onto the main stage was the one that I released last year in April, which was the first course that I made, which was 4 hours and 21 minutes. And that one was the complete A to Z, showing you what dropshipping is, how much money you need, what the best niches are, how to find products, how to build a store, how to download the apps, how to set the apps up, how to create the marketing materials, how to do the Facebook ads. And then I've done another course this year, which is the exact same as that one, but this is a 2021 update. And this one's actually got a lot more in-depth tutorial. This one teaches you how to actually build a solid dropshipping brand. Instead of building like an AliExpress product store, this is about building a brand, and it's all about building that long-term asset. And I go in, this one's an extra hour long as well. So this one's an hour longer than the last one because I'm putting in loads more tips. I'm going over advanced Facebook ad strategies. I'm going over manual bidding, how to automate your ads. Literally everything that you need is in that video. Like there's nothing that's missing that I'm not giving you. Everything's on the table, And look, these courses have been that powerful that it's inspired and motivated other ecom YouTubers to do the same. I really do feel like I've set the barrier to entry. I've set the hurdle higher because a lot of these other guys on YouTube are all doing exactly what I'm doing now because they've realized, if you want to get people's attention, you don't piss about, you just give it to the people and they'll listen.
Yeah. So for the audience especially catching us live, and if you are catching us live, be sure to drop your questions while you can. I mean, this is your chance to actually get some real questions answered with the Ecom King and Kamil. But you can see, if you're watching the screen, we're showing his YouTube channel right up top, the popular course. So you got the one that you mentioned from last year, the additional one from this year. And so it actually has me curious, like what was the motivation for doing this? Because that's real value. I mean, you're hitting great value within each of these courses and videos. So what was the motivation behind it?
Yes, the motivation for me was you should always give somebody the opportunity to do something, And what I mean by that is, you shouldn't charge people money for a digital asset that you've recorded because they might not be able to afford it. So I thought, you know what, let me come on board and give people a chance to say, you know what, I can never say somebody never gave me an opportunity to make money or to make my own form of income, So I wanted to like build a legacy where people are like, you know what, this guy's come on here, giving us everything without leaving half of it to go and pay for the extra half. He's given us everything to potentially make 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, even 10,000. I've had people that Instagram DM me saying they've been able to achieve 6 figures from these videos. So it's about giving the people the opportunity that everybody deserves to have first before making a decision. Oh, should I go and pay for a seminar? Should I go pay for a paid mentorship? I want to give people an opportunity first before they make that decision,
Yeah. No, it's great value for sure. And so I'd say for the audience listening, definitely check it out because he's giving back, and I think it's just a really great thing. It even shows like you got some people asking some questions already. So someone from Facebook asking, do you offer mentorship?
Yeah, so we do offer mentorship. It's one-to-one. It's very exclusive. We don't do mass mentorship, but we don't accept anybody into the mentorship unless you watch the free course first. So if you've not watched the free course first and taken action, we will reject you straight away. Because like I said to you a moment ago, we're not here to take your money. We're here to help you if you really need that help. So unless you've done the free course, unless you've tried it, and unless you're really at a standstill, there is no need for you to do the mentorship at all.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm actually bringing it up on the screen here. So is this where they would go? So if they watch,
that's exactly where they would go, and that's the team right there on the screen. There's a couple of the guys missing out on there, but that's the majority of the team.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So for those of us catching us live, you can see on the screen is mentorship here. And I'm not an affiliate or anything, but the point of the podcast is to bring on the people that are crushing it and keeping it real. So maybe even describe that. So it's not just you offering the mentorship, but you have this whole team behind you. Describe what that process is like.
Yeah, of course. So this isn't just any team. And you know what? This comes back down to my values. This isn't just any team. This team every person that's in my team are my old students. So I used to offer one-to-one mentorship where it'd be me teaching. And after a year, I've been able to teach that many people and get that many six-figure earners where everybody in the team has to be a six-figure earner of mine, proof, validation. And then as soon as they've hit that 6 figure with a 25% profit margin, I then asked them the question, would you like to come on board and help mentor others? Because a lot of people come to me asking for my one-to-one help, but I can't teach 50 people a month, So I thought if I can create more of me by teaching people, getting them successful, then asking them to help out, people are going to come to me, ask for my learning, might not learn it directly from me, but learn it from my most successful students that have got proven results. And that's the whole heart behind the team.
That's great stuff, man, for sure. And the link, we'll be sure to provide it in the show notes, but the link to get to it is, what is it called?
e-commercementoring.com.
Awesome. So we'll be sure to leave links in the show notes there. And yeah, I tell you, man, I say great stuff. And it's really awesome what you're putting together as far as a team and really helping people out. We got some other people asking some questions, so coming in here. So let's field them. And if you're here, like I said, drop your questions while you can, and we'll include them. So if living in the UK, would you set your store up so that it's UK based, or would America be a larger country?
Yeah, so that question is a little bit of a hit and miss, but UK is completely fine.
That's great to answer that. Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of questions from people outside the US, and so they ask that a lot. So I think, knowing I know people are drop shipping from Europe, so I know that it is possible. It's just a matter of a preference of how to set it up. So great stuff. Let's take another question here. What would you say are the program must-haves for product research? For example, Zik Analytics. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused with that question. What would you say are the program must-haves for product research, for example. Oh, so you're saying what kind of softwares are the best for product research? Now, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You don't always need paid softwares to do good product research. You can just use free alternatives like Ecom Hunt. They've got a free plan that I use, which is really, really powerful. And you can do reverse psychology and go back to page 69, find some old winners and do some due diligence and see if they're trending again. Now, if you're looking for paid tools, you've got things like not AdSpy. AdSpy is a good one, but there's a lot cheaper alternatives out there like Peakster, where it's only $29.99, but it's still showing you winning Facebook ads. That's very, very powerful. You've got things like Viral Vault, which is really, really good. I like using Viral Vault and Peakster as my paid tools to find winners, and they're the ones that I personally use myself every day.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, and we'll be sure to leave links in the show notes related to those tools because yeah, I mean, I've been using them as well and agree with Viral Vault and, you know, Jordan Welsh behind there. I mean, he's got a team of people and they're hitting products daily, like at least, what is it about? Now they seem to be up to like maybe 3 or 4 per day.
Yeah,
new
crazy.
products with the starter copy and all kinds of things like that, which is great stuff for sure. This is awesome, man. Yeah, so we've been fielding some questions, and one of the things, actually, let me pull this up here related to Instagram, because I saw that you have a few Instagram accounts, and it's just so that people know to follow the right one, because it almost seems like, you know, you're getting so popular now that it almost seems like there's like fake accounts trying to pretend they're the Ecom King, but they're not. So I think the right account here is with the blue check mark.
Yeah, that's it. So the Instagram situation is a very funny, weird one. So that is the original account, and that's my first ever account. Now, the reason why there's so many Instagram accounts is not because they're not mine. I actually own every single account, like the Kamil Sattar one, the Ecom King backup account. They're all my accounts. Now, the reason why I've got so many is because this is the original account that I've had since 2013 or 2014. But somebody, I'm not going to name names, I'm not that kind of guy, but somebody in the industry isn't a fan of me due to competition. They paid a lot of money to get the account taken down. So I had to make another Instagram account. And they've done the same to another person as well. I'm not going to mention names. And then they got my other account taken down as well. So then I had to make another account. And then I spoke to Instagram and got this account back and got it verified to protect it. So that's the story behind it.
Wow, man, that's crazy. That's a crazy journey for sure. Yeah, because I mean, seeing the different accounts, but it's good that you got it straightened out. And that you went through that you got through the process, because I know that could be a challenge.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the correct one. Let's maybe communicate that for the audience that's listening. So it's _Ecom_King.
Yeah. So all my social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Telegram, all my social media accounts are verified. So if they haven't got the tick, it's not me.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So keep that in mind, guys, as you guys are looking. Make sure you're following the right one and not getting scammed for sure. You know, speaking of that, like the blue check mark and everything is like, I mean, that goes to show the nature of, you know, the credibility and going mainstream. Maybe even talk about that, like what led up to like the CNBC video.
Of course, dude. So you know what it is with me? It goes back to what I was saying before. I focus on making content. I focus on doing what I'm doing. And when you focus on these things, things come to you naturally. That's just how life works. So as I was going crazy with YouTube, with my stores, with everything, I started getting opportunities where like Business Insider reached out to me. They said, look, we've seen your videos. We want to make an article about drop shipping. Let's get on a call. So I got on a call, spoke to the woman, told her my story, had to send her proof of my store's numbers. So I sent all that across, and that got published, and then that went viral in the e-com space. And then I got saw by other people. That's when people like Daily Mail, Lad Bible saw it, and then those wrote an article about me, and then that moved on to CNBC's finding me, reaching out to me again, asking me to come on board with the Shopify president, Nick Peroni, the gentleman that owns Ecom Hunt. So that's what I'm saying. It just takes one of these big press media companies to reach out to you for it to just do a domino effect. And now I've got the pleasure of even now being able to go on a TV program in my home country, the UK, a really, really big TV program that I'll be going on in the next few weeks, which typically gets around over 100 million views. So it's going to be insane.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I'm curious about that. So what is kind of the format of the TV program?
Yeah, so the TV program is called Rich House, Poor House. It's on Channel 5, which is one of the biggest TV programs in the UK. And it's about you switching homes with somebody that's less fortunate with you to see what the difference is from the rich and the poor, how they do their daily lifestyle. Does money make you happy and whatnot?
Wow, that's awesome. So you're already going through that right now, and then it's going to air. So
yeah, like so we start production not next week. Yeah, so yeah, actually, yeah, I think it is. No, sorry, not next week. The week after, the film crew come to my place and we start production.
That's great stuff, man, for sure. So reality show in the making right here, folks. So those that are catching, and Kamil, man, you are crushing it and on fire, and you've been doing all this all at the age of 21, right?
Yeah, I turned 22 on the May the 10th this year, so it's happened very quickly, you know, and that's why you got to make sure your feet are always on the ground and you don't ever get too far high, you know, and get miscomplacent.
Yeah. No, man, that's really great, man. So I'd say for everyone who's listening, definitely, you know, Kamil's a huge future ahead and has the right mindset and been staying on the right track. And actually, maybe you can even speak to that, you know, because I think, you know, there's a reason why now we can see, you know, mainstream, like, you know, business networks like CNBC being interested there. I mean, they were talking about, okay, this is like the fast future, e-commerce taking off, being able to get in as a business model. But maybe even speak to that, you know, because, you know, some people that are going through fast growth, you know, how to handle that, you know, even in the mental game.
Yeah, so of course I'm very open about it, and I've said throughout my journey I've suffered through some very severe mental problems. You know, I announced, I think it was November last year, that I had to take a break because I just couldn't handle it. You know, it was getting way too much. People think that you owe them something for nothing. People thinking that you can help everybody when you can't. You're just one human being. You get the haters. I just needed to take a break. And what I'm going to say to people is, when you're going through this crazy journey, just remember what made you start. You know, remember that you've got a family. Remember that you've got people that love you. Remember those people. Don't get lost in this whole online community. You got to remember and touch base back with what life is, you know. And I am a religious person, so it's important for me to always touch back with God and make sure that I never leave. So it's about, for those people that just remember, step back a minute. You are in the spotlight, but the spotlight is not more important than the people that love you. God, you know, you got to make sure you step back and take a minute to think really where you've come from and where it all stems from. And you got to make sure that you make the right decisions, because a lot of these people that reach out, I turn around about 98% of people down because I just don't think they're a good match for me. I don't believe in their morals, their ethics. I don't believe in what they do. And it's important that you don't change who you are to fit in with the spotlight, you know. Only take on certain deals, or only take on certain brand deals or TV shows or news press if you feel like it's right for you. And that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, powerful, man, and very well said. And yeah, I mean, I'd say for the audience listening, you know, the reality is, you know, it can happen for any one of you, for those that are putting the work behind it. And when you're doing it consistently, all of a sudden it can shoot up, and all of a sudden, you know, having the right mental state to manage that with the growth, with you sharing that, because you're literally living it. And just like you said, you know, being mindful of it and taking the break, you know, at that time, you know, shows that level of maturity that you have, which is great. And I think you can have a big future. But even touch on that. So since we talked about that, which is, you know, what does it take, you know, say for the audience listening, to at least try to achieve that breakthrough, you know? What's that level of work? You know, how much time did you have to put in to actually get your breakthrough on some of these?
Yeah, products? So great question. So a lot of people are going to watch this and think, wow, man, a lot happened in a year for you. But it's not, a lot of people look at what you do when you're on stage, not when you're off stage. And you know what it is? I've been in this game now for 5 years. It's been a very long time. I started the whole ecom, the whole having your own business when I was 15 years old. So I'm now almost 22. It's been a long road. And it's only since last year where I've really been able to see this crazy growth. And I've been putting in 8 to 14 hours a day, Monday to Saturday. I've been missing family events. I've missed holidays. I've missed people's birthdays. I've missed going out. I've completely, you know what? Every friend that I had, I don't have anymore. You know, I've completely reorganized my lifestyle, and a lot of people ain't willing to sacrifice that. Are you really willing to sacrifice saying no to your friends on the weekend? Are you really willing to sacrifice not going to your mom's brother's birthday and enjoy having a nice family meal? You know, I've been in the trenches for the last 5 years, and you know what's crazy? I've been suffering from really bad panic attacks because I've not been working as much as I used to. Like I normally put 8 to 14 hours in a day. And now because I've built something so powerful and had the right systems in place, I'm able now to put in about 3 to 4 hours in a day, and that's it. So when I'm not working, I'm starting to panic because I'm thinking, what's happened to 8 to 14 hours a day? It's not there anymore. But that's because I've had to do that to get to where I am now, where I can sit back and say, you know what? It paid off.
Yeah. I'm glad that you touched on that, and even touched on the level of work and commitment. And even in our previous conversation that we had on the podcast, you know, you touched on that as well. So for the audience listening, you know, there's definitely a great amount of work, you know, put behind it, and Kamil, you know, committed to it consistently, right? And what advice would you give, like, you know, to people? Actually, there's even a question that kind of leads to this. So like, you know, this one here from James, he's saying, okay, I've had a store for 3 weeks now. He says over 800 products, a lot of traffic, 0 purchases. I have redesigned the store 3 times. Facebook ads with a lot of clicks. Are there any tips on designs? So here, like, what advice would you give to James?
Yeah, so when it comes to store design, you want to make sure that your store feels like a brand. So you want to make sure that when people come to your store, they think that you're the person that actually owns the product. You're the one that actually created the product. And you want to make sure that people feel like you're offering a high quality service, which you should be. You should be having good shipping times. You should be having good photography on your website. You should have solid copyright on your website. You should have a fast loading website. You should have a live chat on your website. You should have a contact number on your website. Your website should feel immersive. When people go on there, they know exactly what they're buying. They know exactly what they're getting. They know exactly what it is. They know exactly what it does. And you just got to make sure that when they go on there, within the first 3 to 5 seconds, they know exactly what it is you do as a business and what you offer as a product. And if they don't, then there's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. And even with what he was saying here, so he's like, he's got over 800 products.
Yeah, that's
in my mind. That sounds like really high. In my mind, is like if you took the time to research, you know, to find anywhere from 1 to 10 of the best products out of there, and to really, you know, focus and highlight the product. So like, as far as an approach, whether if it's a general store, niche store, or single product store, what would you recommend?
Me personally, if you know me well, you know I only do 1 product stores to start with, and then I branch them out into more of a 1 product niche store. But I like to have a 1 product store, because you got to remember, if you focused 1 product instead of 8, so imagine the time and effort you could have put into 1 product instead of 800 products, put in half-hard effort into each single one of them. So if you focused all that energy into 1, where you could potentially be, you know?
Yeah, I agree, man. So hopefully you're listening, James. I say give it a try. Like sounds like you got 800. That's a little too many to bite right off the bat. So I heard you mentioned Ecom Hunt. So maybe even share the story there, and like what you've been doing with the product research. And I was curious about, I was catching their wording related to like the AI part of it, and what is that actually doing?
Yeah, so AI is artificial intelligence, or AR is artificial reality. I'm going to be making a video very, very soon about it. And you know what? I'll even give you a sneak peek of one of the stores that I'm creating at the moment with this technology. So I'll show you right now one of the stores that I've got And again, you got to remember, people can't go to the shops anymore and look at the products they're buying because of their lockdown, or they don't feel comfortable going out, potentially at risk of getting the virus. So that's why it's important that you do offer a platform on your website where people can get the feel like they really are in the shop looking at that product. And I'm going to be showing you right now an example of how this works. So I'm going to go on this website and I'm going to show you exactly how this works. So go on here. And Shopify has integrated this technology very recently into it because of the whole situation. So let me just show you quickly now. So you can see here, if I go on this part of my website, I'm going to click it. You're going to see, you're going to see when I scroll down, it'll say view in your space. So if I click view in your space, you're going to see what I can do is I can click object, and now you can see on the website, I can get a 3D model of my object.
Augmented reality product view.
Then I've got AR, so I can actually view the product inside my apartment. So if I move my phone around, you're going to be able to see that I'm able to now view my, I'm going to show you in a minute, I'm going to be able to view my product in my actual apartment. I think I need to clean the camera quickly. So here we go. You can see I've got the product now on my phone somewhere. Where have I lost it? Should be somewhere here. But you're going to be able to see here, I don't think it's going to be able to work, but I can actually view my product in my actual apartment by using the AR technology.
That's awesome.
So you're giving the customer the feel that they'll get normally if they were to go to the shop.
Yeah, yeah. And is that so? Is that technology? Is that something that you're working on? Like you're working even with the company, or it's a technology?
Oh no, this technology's been out for a while. It's not been adopted in dropshipping. I've not heard anybody really talk about it, if not anybody talk about it, because it is advanced technology. It is expensive technology as well. Shopify have enabled the APIs, the coding for it to happen a few months ago. So as long as you've got a 3D model of the product and the coding behind it, you can integrate it into Shopify pretty easily, and it will look just like that. But it does cost a lot of money to get a product 3D mapped because it's expensive technology. But you got to say, if you're selling a product that's expensive, high ticket, you want to make sure that when people come to your website, the conversion rate's high, because you got to remember, if somebody's spending $200 on a product and they can't physically see it or hold it or know what it's going to be, they're going to be a bit like, not too sure.
Yeah. So you definitely recommend that, say, for a high ticket item or something.
Yeah. So for low ticket items, I'd only recommend it when you know the product's doing really, really well. But for a high ticket product, straight from the get go, we do it. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great tip, man, for sure. So you can see Kamil's on the edge and thinking out of the box and doing these things, and actually, maybe even talk about that. Like, what are the things that you do, day to day to keep yourself on the edge of pursuing some of this latest stuff?
Yeah, man. So you know what it is? This is what I said on my live stream yesterday. There's a lot of people that'll teach you what's right now, but nobody's teaching you what's in the future. And there's another thing that's insane that's about the future, Another thing, and the way I find this is because I'm really out there looking to be the best at what I'm doing. And the next thing is, if you've ever used PayPal or Stripe, you get these problems. The fees are really, really high. You get loads of chargebacks. It costs you lots of money when a chargeback's opened. You have to wait ages for the money to go through. Now, there's something that's coming out that's going to completely take that out of the way. You get no chargeback fees. You get instant payouts, no fees, no issues straight away. And
that sounds like a dream.
Now that is used by a company called Utrust, Utrust, UTRUST. Now Utrust enables customers to pay through cryptocurrency. Now, when you pay through cryptocurrency, you don't get any of those issues. You don't get fees, you don't get chargebacks, you don't get any of that. And the reason why is because of the technology behind it. Now, if you get paid in crypto, it doesn't mean you receive crypto. It'll actually convert it into fiat being in USD, GDP. And then you're going to get the money just like you would normally get from Stripe, but the customer's paid in crypto, which then safegates you from those three issues that you normally get.
Man, that's some real gems right there.
And nobody's even talking about this. Nobody talks about the AR. Nobody talks about this. And this is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And is that something that you can integrate with the Shopify platform, or
so use at the moment it will work with WooCommerce, it'll work with WordPress, it'll work with all of those. At the moment, you just are just trying to get that last bit done with Shopify. From what I know, it will be available in the next few months, next few weeks, next few months. It just depends when things get sorted out. But it is coming. Get ready for it, because when it does come, those that have it will make a lot more money.
That's huge, man, for sure. And actually, speaking of like WooCommerce, what are your thoughts there, using that as a platform alternative to Shopify?
We've used WooCommerce for a few different stores, because with WooCommerce you get better, you get more freely access. You can customize a checkout page. You can do more API things. You've got more control overall. It's like Apple and Android. Apple is easy to use. It's simple. It's quick. Android, it's got a little bit more bloatware, it's harder to use, but there's more features. So think of it like that as an analogy. Now, WooCommerce is very good, but you will have to pay a lot of money for hosting your own servers. It can get very expensive. If you don't have good servers, it can make your website look really, really bad and very, very, let's say, beginner. It's not the greatest. So overall, WooCommerce can be a lot more expensive. And not just that, it can be a lot more harder to maintain and to hold, because it is a lot more feature based.
Yeah. Have you done anything like or any other platforms that are specific to like single, landing pages, or like?
Yeah. So another company that I really like, and I had the pleasure to test that out, was Commerce HQ. COMMERSC HQ, Commerce HQ. I did a video about it using them. And I was very, very impressed with their software. Give it a go for those that are listening to it. It's like a drag and drop web builder. It's like Wix, but for Shopify. It's a drag and drop. The upsell funnels that you can create on Commerce HQ. Never seen anything like it. It just blows Shopify out the way. But then again, there's pros and cons. The bad thing about Commerce HQ is they haven't really got an app yet. It's coming, but it's not there yet. But overall, it gives you that WooCommerce feel, but not at that high level, should we say, developer, store maker level. You can be a beginner and get the same. That's the
way. Yeah. And what Kamil's describing is that, so with WooCommerce, I think you have the ability to customize a lot of things, but it's also complex. So if you don't have somebody that's pretty technical on your team, WooCommerce, that setup, can take you some long time, or maybe even some costs in there. But it sounds like Commerce HQ, which I haven't used. I think I'm going to take a look at that, see how that works. That's awesome, man. Great tips for sure, man.
My pleasure.
And we got a question that came in from, he's asking, what was the name of that tech used for the AR? He was asking about
that.
It's
AR technology. So if you type into Google Shopify AR or artificial reality, Shopify's got a whole article about how to integrate it, what you need to do, how to add the code and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, I've got a video coming out sometime in the next week or two about it. But if you want to get into it now, like I said, Shopify's got some great articles talking about
it. That's great stuff, man. I tell you, man, so these are some golden nuggets for sure. And I'd say for the audience listening, especially if you're live, if you have any questions, be sure to drop them in here, because we're coming close to the end of the hour. And I want to be respectful of Kamil's time. But man, I tell you, this is really awesome stuff. So with that, so now, I would say one of the things that I've been thinking about is, like, as far as going back to, the mental state, but more about, your business mindset. What's driving, your motivation to, like, continue to pursue, to continue to grow and things like that. So are there things that you kind of tell yourself to, to have that mindset to consistently, in the beginning, like you said, you're working those long hour days to get the results that you're looking for? What was your mental game like to kind of push yourself to do that? That's what I was curious about.
Yeah, so I'm very competitive, so I like to try and be the best that I can be. I always say this, that there's always going to be somebody out there that's better than you, but I always say this, always the student, never the master. I like to try and be as better as I can. I like, what it is? I like to try and build up my portfolio of skills, So if there are things that I can do to increase my skill set, let's do it. Even if it's not going to be financially beneficial to me, I'd rather know that I've got those skills in my pocket ready to use. And that's what it really comes down to, just like if you look at the people like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk especially, look at how innovating they are, look at how much they do for our world. And I want to try and I can never compare to them, but I want to try and be like them and really innovate and try and get to the next level. And that's why, although AR technology has been around for the last year, 2 years, nobody's really shown it in dropshipping. So I want to be the guy to really showcase that. And that's what drives me.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I think it's totally possible because, I mean, if you look at the comparison, you know, Bezos was working for quite a while before Amazon really took off to where it was. And, you know, and if you look at, you know, the stuff that you accomplished right now at the age of 21 and with the right mindset and, you know, using these greats as mentors and guidance, and maybe even speak to that, like so what do you do to kind of keep yourself, you know, like, you know, learning about, you know, great habits and things like that?
Yeah, so I like to follow people that I like, you know. I like to follow, and this is the thing, I don't like to follow mainstream people. I like to follow people that are not mainstream, but they're beneficial. So what advice that I'd give to people is try and find somebody that's not mainstream and somebody that's behind the closed doors. And that's what I like to do. I like to try and find people, like, for example, meditating. Instead of going to a meditating coach, go to somebody that actually knows about meditation. The guys that are in the hills, you know, people don't really think about that. When they think of going and getting meditation, they think go and get somebody that specializes in meditation. You go to them and they do that kind of that stuff on a yoga mat. But really, the guys that really know how to meditate are the ones that are up in the mountains doing it. So you've got to think outside the box and learn from those that are not straight in your face. That's the best advice that I can give there.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts related to that? And you got other people mentioning the same thing, meditation, even related to that. And what are your thoughts, like, you know, like stuff related to, like, say, the law of attraction and that type of, you know, mindset? Is your mindset always thinking, like, you know, thinking
law
about
of
what
attraction,
you want,
dude, is 100% real. It's so funny because when I go through my phone photos and it shows me the date and the time, there's so many things that I would think about having, and then eventually I'm like, whoa, how the hell have I been able to get it all of a sudden? And I've attracted it. So I'm going to show you an image right now just to show you that I'm not lying. This is complete honesty, that this is law of attraction at its finest. And I do believe if you mentally tell yourself that you can have something, you'll get it without a doubt, as long as you put the work in. You can't try and do law of attraction without putting the work in. It won't work. But if you do law of attraction and put the work in, damn, it's going to happen at some point. So let me show you an example of this. So I'm going to get a photo at the start of last year about me talking about me wanting to hit 100,000 subscribers. So here you go. This photo was taken on the 20th of February 2020. At this point, I had around about 20,000 subscribers, and I found a YouTuber that had this on their Instagram, and I took a print screen. So remember, I really wanted that February last year, and then within, guess what? And the photo says 2020 goal, and guess what? I achieved it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think it's really great. So, and yeah, if you can, maybe even speak more to that. So I think, you know, for the audience listening, you know, kind of envisioning, you know, where you want to be, the results that you want to achieve, you know, how do you use that even towards your business and things like that?
Yeah, so what I like to do is I like to make different types of goals. I like to make daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, a 5-year goal, because there's I don't like it when people give themselves a yearly goal because it's too broad, and and what you can achieve in a year, there's a lot of compound interest that occurs in there. So for you to want to have a yearly goal now is too big, and it'll demotivate you. So if you have daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, yearly goals, it will then form you into that yearly goal. So for example, a daily goal could be, I want to make my website 10% quicker than it was yesterday. I want to make my product have a longer ad copy, you know, have daily goals. Your monthly goal could be, I want to make sure that I increase my revenue and my profit by 15% this month. So that's how I gear up towards my goals. In terms of meditation, you don't need any apps. You don't need any music. I meditate, and some people might laugh at me. I actually meditate in the shower. So I like to have a long, hot shower because I feel like when I'm in the shower, that's where I'm the most free. I've got water going through my body. and that's the best. And I know people might laugh at me, but that's where I meditate the best, in the shower.
Yeah, and either during or even after, I'm curious, like, do you seem to get like some insight? So like some of the things that I seem to experience is like if I'm like trying to solve something or thinking about something that's kind of like I want to achieve in the future, if I feel like my subconscious is going through it and I might be doing some type of mindless activity, but then all of a sudden, boom, it just comes to me and I'm like, yes. And then I try to quickly, write down those ideas or strategies, something that just came because it felt like my subconscious was like working because my attention was like, focusing on what's the solution there? What's the solution there?
Exactly. And that's the key to meditation. Meditation's all about letting your subconscious mind have full focus and control. So if you're thinking about something, if you get yourself in a full focus stability, then at least 100% that you're going to eventually, your subconscious mind, get to what it was. And then as soon as your mind's clear, straight away, I found it, keep telling myself what it was. As soon as I get to a piece of paper or a laptop, write it down, done, And this was happening to me the other day. The other day I was thinking, what video should I make now? I don't even know what videos to make anymore because I've run out of ideas. And then I had a shower, let my subconscious mind go crazy. And I was like, wow, this needs to be done.
Yeah. That's great stuff. Yeah. I even feel that way about the podcast too. Sometimes I'm like searching about, my mind's thinking about, what would be really helpful or valuable to do next. And then, yes, the ideas come just like that. It's really great to see that, that you're working in the similar patterns. Hopefully the audience is catching that, I think on the surface, some people think like it's a bunch of fluff, and or law of attraction, but really, I think it's as real as it gets, right?
So a good example of this, I'm sure a lot of you, I know you guys have heard of him. You might not like him, you might like him. Conor McGregor has there's a documentary about Conor McGregor and how he truly believes in law of attraction, and you can hate the guy, but what he's been able to achieve is insane. And he is a big believer of law of attraction. So I'd recommend that anybody here watch it on YouTube. It's insane.
Yeah, that, and I think even that Notorious documentary that I think is probably still on Netflix.
Yeah, they're all up there, dude. It's again, like I said, Conor McGregor, hate him or love him, his story is truly like crazy. Where he's come from, how he's been able to achieve it. It's insane.
Yeah, awesome stuff, man. I feel like we could be talking for hours on this. Let's field a couple of last questions here from the audience. I could see a bunch of things here. We got someone from Facebook saying, for a product research, I'm using Google Trends, Amazon, YouTube, Watch Count, Jungle Scout to validate products. Is there any others I should use to accompany these?
So what I'm going to say there is you've already got a lot there, you want to try and simplify your process. So I only use Peakster and Google Trends and Viral Vault and the AliExpress Dropshipping Center. And I do use Statistica if I need to do market research. But you want to simplify it, because if you go over the top, it's not going to be good. Now, this is something that nobody's going to tell you. You'll never know a product will do well till you spend at least $300 on it on advertisements. You're just never going to know. You can never. I've spent weeks doing research, ran ads, completely flopped.
Yeah, I'm glad that you touched on that. Like, you never know till you actually test behind it, because you're going to see what works for you. We got another question from YouTube. We say, when you do your research, do you start with the product or the market? Hungry crowd.
Yeah, so when you do your research, you do the research on the market because you're selling to the market. The product's just being sold to the market, so you should always start with the market.
Great stuff. Let's field a couple of more here. We got one from Josh. He says, what is the company you use to do market research on competitors?
Yeah, great question. Statistica is one of the best, if not the best, to do research. You can also use your Facebook ad library to look at the ads that they're running for their Facebook ads. But apart from that, you can use things like e-commerce inspector. It's a Chrome extension which will tell you like the traffic, where they're getting the ads from, how many sales they've done. e-commerce inspector, the pro version is by far one of the best, if not the best.
Yeah, that is great. And we got one more here. So James is asking, what will shipping be like now it's Chinese New Year?
Yeah, it can be tough. If you're using AliExpress, it's going to be tough. But if you're using companies like Weo, they're taking 3 days off and they're back to normal again. So it's not going to affect you. If you're using companies like CJ, they're taking 5 days off. And that's the thing. And this is why I'm trying to get people to get away from AliExpress unless they offer USA shipping, because it's just a waste of time. You should be using companies like Weo, Udroppy, CJ, because they offer really good shipping times even around Chinese New Year. Now, if you've got a real big problem, then put a pre-order button on your website instead of buy now button. That will completely get rid of the issue.
Great stuff, man. And is that what you typically use?
Yeah, so last year I made a video on this topic and I've not updated the video since because it's still valid. All you got to do is put a pre-order button on your website, make an email confirmation saying that your order's been pre-ordered. We'll inform you once we've got it in stock and ready to ship out. If you've got a good supplier like Weo, which take 3 days off, you don't need to do that. You can just carry on like normal.
Yeah. We'll be sure to leave links to that in the show notes. They've been linked to that video as well. Man, I said you dropped some serious gems here today, so hopefully the audience got value out of it. And for those that caught us live, I say be sure to, if you're not already subscribed to Kamil's YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, and then also find Kamil on Instagram. And I'd say great stuff, man, for sure. So as we bring things to a wrap here, I want to give you a chance to leave some closing remarks with the audience. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you again to this great gentleman that hosts the Tech Money Talks Live, because he spends a lot of time and effort. I know from a content creator myself that he spends a lot of time on these things. So let's all thank him right now for the platform. And I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that supports me, shows me a lot of love. It does mean a lot, especially for my mental state. And like I said, the only thing you need to do is go to the YouTube channel, and then everything else there will be looked after. And I want to say something to you. I'm looking forward to part 3. Let's get part 3 before Q4 this year, so we can get the people on the show to nail Q4 this year. So we'll do that part 3 hopefully sometime in, let's say, September. But I want to ask you, what do you prefer, part 1 or part 2? Which one do you feel was better?
Awesome, man. Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to part 3. And I'd say they're both great, and for a lot of reasons. I mean, definitely number one, you brought on some, actually in both, you brought on a lot of firsts. So even in the first podcast, talking about, you were one of the first to talk about TikTok influencing and the influencer marketing strategy, and then continuing on into here, showing what really works, but now talking about the, not only what's grown for you, but then now the new tech, because you're now growing to a bigger level, and so pointing out some of the things like the AR and stuff like that is just really awesome. So
crypto, currency, payment gateways as well, stuff like that, man. Yeah, I always make sure that when I come on platforms like this, that I'm dropping each and every time real new content, no bluff, no reused content, just straight new stuff.
Real new content and current, and it's just like amazing stuff. So hopefully the audience, through this, and if you're listening to it on the audio podcast, you're going to want to re-listen to these things over again. Check the show notes. We're going to have a lot of links to put in these show notes, and we'll be sure to provide that as well. But man, I say great stuff for sure, brother. I really appreciate your time. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep the mindset that you have on there, because man, but doing all this at the age of 21, you got a huge future ahead of you. And really looking forward to staying in touch with you, brother.
I really do appreciate it, man. You know where I am on Instagram. I've always got time for you. And again, really appreciate what you've done here on this podcast. It really does mean a lot, dude.
All right. So I held on to that silence just to kind of treat that as the end of the podcast recording. So for those of us that are catching live, this is like behind the scenes. So we go through editing and things like that. But man, I'd say really great stuff for sure. And so hopefully the audience is getting value. Those that caught us live, you're able to ask questions. And one person here is asking a last minute question. Weo, he's asking, how is it spelled?
W-I-I-O.
W-I-I-O. And we'll be sure to leave links and things like that. You're getting a lot of thank yous and stuff that's coming through. So really awesome, man. So yeah, I'd say from here, we're going to end the live stream. And I'd say be sure to keep a lookout next time we put things together. So thanks, everyone.